Welcome. Thank you for joining us today, Fabienne. Really looking forward to interviewing you. So our guest today is Fabienne Jacquet, with a French accent there. She'll explain more. She is a scientist, a disruptive innovator, and very excitingly, author of newly published book, Venus Genius. So over to you, Fabienne. Can you just give us a little pen portrait of who you are, your background, and then we'll launch into some questions.
Yeah, absolutely. So I always like to say that I'm half French, half American, half scientist, and half marketer. I know too many halves, but as we say in French, when you love, you don't count. So I have a lot of facets, but like a lot of people, and I had the opportunity in my life to explore all of them. I'm an innovator, diehard innovator. I love to innovate. I was 4 years old. I was already challenging the way things are and wanting to create a better world and so on. So it's really in my gene, in my mentality. And innovation has been in my personal life. It's been also in my professional life. I have 31 years of experience in corporate life, first in technology, because I'm a PhD in organic chemistry, as you mentioned. I'm a chemist. I moved to marketing in the middle of my career to better understand, the entire process between the interaction between the molecules in the beaker and how that affected consumers' mind and how they bought products. So I have the entire spectrum of understanding the innovation from its birth to, when it goes to the consumer. And after 31 years of corporate life and international career, mainly in Europe and also in the US, I chose to get settled here in the US and created my own company, which is Innovive, which is a consultancy in innovation. And it's really looking at transformative innovation by activating our feminine energy.
That's a great start. Thanks, Fabienne. So your book, I understand, is how to embrace your feminine traits and to unlock innovation and bring value to you. But can we go right back to basics? How would you define innovation?
Don't try to Google innovation definition. You will get more than almost 2 billion answers, and they're quite complicated. So I like to demystify innovation so that everybody can really access it. So how I define innovation? I define it by something new that creates value. And each word is important. Something. When we think innovation, we have a tendency to think product, like a new beauty cream. But innovation can also be a service. For example, the first takeout delivery was an innovation. It can be a business model like Uber or Airbnb, or it can be a combination of technologies into something new, like the iPhone. It can be something huge, the internet. It can be also something small, like a new shower gel. And so something is really more open than, it's a new car or this. I hope it makes sense. Then new. New is interesting because, of course, if it's not new, it's not innovation, okay? However, newness is relative. It can be new to the world. The first vaccine was really new to the world, and it really impacted a lot of our lives. But it can also be new to the industry, like the electric car, or new to your organization. Okay, so again, newness and impact are linked, and there is an entire spectrum there. But if you have to remember something about this definition, it's the word value. I like to say that value is like beauty. It's in the eyes of the beholder. So value can be, of course, money, and this is what we think about first thing, green money, but it can also be emotional. I like the iPhone. I can do a lot of things with this. Okay, I can surf it on, I can phone it. So the functionality is fantastic. And this is an innovation for those benefits. However, why do I like it? This is a cool brand. This is a cool design. This is very emotional. So there is an emotional connection to the brand. Okay, so this is the value. Let me give you a quick example. If I tell you that this young entrepreneur created a rock climbing training, you will tell me, Fabienne, it's not really innovation. Now, if I tell you that this rock climbing training is created for abused women who have been, beaten, then suddenly it sounds more like innovation because the exercises are designed for them to get back their self-confidence and self-love. So suddenly it's something, a rock climbing training. It's new because it didn't exist for this target of the beaten women. And the value is huge. Of course, is revenues for the entrepreneur, but more importantly, it gives back their self-confidence and somewhere their life to beaten women. So value, again, is extremely important. You have to explore value. When you want to innovate something, the first thing to say, what is the value I bring? With, again, the entire spectrum from functional to emotional.
I really like that idea. It's almost recycling, isn't it? So using something that exists, but repurposing with a higher value. I really like that idea.
Absolutely.
So I notice your book is focused very much on the feminine. So do you see innovation as gendered?
I'm very happy you're asking this question because it gives me an opportunity to clarify. And this is extremely important. I'm not talking about men versus women. I'm not talking about gender. I'm talking about the feminine and the masculine energies we both have as a spectrum, as all human beings we do have. It happens that we live in a male-dominated world. It's evolving, that is still the case. And it happens also that the business and innovation, unfortunately, have been driven by this masculine energy. So my message is just like, it's time to rebalance. And everybody, again, has a place in the spectrum of feminine and masculine, and that's fine. There is no judgment. But we have all a unique place, and we all bring our unique contribution. And this is what we have to find. It happens that in innovation, we need both masculine and feminine energy to innovate. And let me show you another little board. The innovation, the process goes from nothing to a prototype to a commercial proposition. Okay, so what we call the front end or discovery is going from an idea, developing ideas, to a prototype. And then the back end is taking this prototype and developing it into a commercial product or solution. It happens that the back end, when you take the prototype, you develop into a commercial product, it calls to all our business and our masculine traits, the being structured, being focused, being very detailed oriented, and very logical, all the logical part, which is great. What happens today is that we take an idea and we jump into this because, again, this is the masculine energy and the business energy we are used to. What I'm saying is that if we spend more time in the front end of innovation, which is going from nothing somewhere to the prototype, and we apply some feminine traits like empathy to better understand the consumer's needs, but also emotional needs, and a lot of other traits that I think we will develop later, then we have innovation that better resonates with the consumers, is in line with Mother Nature. Because, if you don't have empathy for Mother Nature, what do? We develop products. Oh, they are great. And then say, oh, it hurts Mother Nature. What do we do now? We have to fix that. If from the get-go, we develop something that respects Mother Nature with empathy for her, then we don't have to fix it later. Okay, so I'm just saying again, coming back to this, we need both masculine, feminine. It's been mainly masculine. Let's go back to the feminine so that we have a rounded innovation that is sustainable and meaningful.
Okay, so my understanding then is you're saying if there's been a masculine domination in innovation, and presumably people hire those who have highly developed masculine thinking, that might then lead to the idea that most innovation teams are men. I'm just supposing. So what would you say to organizations on how to develop their female market? And I appreciate these are feminine traits, but if we've got a male gender dominated innovation team, how do we bring out the best in our women who are interested in R&D?
First of all, it's very simple. It's mechanical. Women are more than 52% of the workforce. Actually, it's interesting to note that innovation is driven by the top, and at the top, we don't have that many women in charge of decision-making for innovation. So already we're cut from there. So having more women in the decision-making positions is very important because, again, innovation is driven by strategy and by the top. But then in the execution, it's very important to have diversity. And diversity starts with women, and we are not a minority. We are more than half of the population of the world, and people tend to forget that. And also, to your previous point, it's a business world, a masculine world. So, how many times did I see that Men or business people who were very good at business were rewarded at the end of their career by having a job in innovation. Doesn't make sense. It takes different talents, it takes a different mentality, a different mindset, because innovation is a mindset, to be able to drive innovation in an organization. So again, having more people who really get innovation, regardless of the gender, but people who have empathy, intuition, who are not only data driven, but really listen to people, try to understand, analyze their needs. This is what we need. So again, bringing the feminine side out of people, which is not easy, believe me, I know. But it was like 2 years ago, before the pandemic, when I gave a workshop, and at the end, two men came to me and said, "Ooh la la la, I'm in trouble." And they told me, "Thank you." I say, "Why?" I say, "Because you know what? You made me realize that I had this feminine in me, like empathy and intuition. And because of my education, my upbringing, I had to shut that down. And you're right. It's better to innovate. And now I will be more conscious of that." So having people more conscious that they have both energies, and that feminine is powerful, is very important. Provide training, but more importantly, provide a safe environment when they can be vulnerable, when they can express themselves, because ideas, innovation come from anywhere, everybody, anybody. Diversity is key, and collaboration. Okay, so we have a lot of things happening here, but again, in a nutshell, allow people to be themselves, who they are, their whole self, bring their feminine touch, and have this entire spectrum of innovation. Of course, it has to have the masculine side. We have to be in business, of course, but have the rounded approach. Does it make sense?
It does, yeah. I'm interested in levels of resistance. Do you feel that most people you talk to in organizations have a light bulb moment and they suddenly see, oh, okay, this could really work for us, and they want to be adopters of your approach? Or are you met with resistance, or a blend of both, I imagine?
It is exactly that. It's a blend of both, and that's okay. And it's the same thing with the book. Some people say, but most reactions are actually to the book are very positive. And I'm very happy about the diversity. It can be a friend of mine who is 85 plus, she never said it, or a young teenager, in Spain, or they told me, wow, I never thought about that. And men also gave me very good feedback about, I never thought about this. So you're bringing something, food for thoughts. And I will not change the world. No, no, I'm conscious of that. I'm not that pretentious, but I'm bringing my little seeds and I'm planting the seeds. And this is really what this book and my mission is about, planting the seeds. And while a lot of people now are talking about that. Let's go back to a more balanced world, more feminine energy. I'm not the only one, but I'm bringing that under the lens of innovation, and innovation is driving the world. So hopefully all together we'll be able to, drive it and build a better energy for this world.
So if you were to take yourself back to your 20-year-old beginning of your career, what would you have done differently? What advice would you give to yourself now with the benefit of hindsight?
Oh my God, I'm not ready with this board. I have this board. I have two pictures of me. One in my 20s, and I'm on a big motorcycle, 5D, and I was so thin and light at that time. So, and then a second picture where I'm in Tel Aviv with my husband. It was a couple of years ago. I'm very feminine, flowery blouse and so on, all smiling, and I'm not smiling on the motorcycle. And the advice would be like, please, go back to connect to your feminine side. Do not. I know I was a scientist. I was between two brothers. I had to fight, and we were like 4 women for 50 guys in the scientific section. So I had to use my masculine energy, and I have no regrets. It brought me where I am. I'm very happy about that. However, rebalancing towards the feminine made me far happier. So make sure that we use both again, and we're conscious of both. And I could have stayed in the masculine like a lot of women do and be very happy, that's fine. But there was something stirring inside of me, said, hello, I need to be there. And now, I can use my masculine side whenever I want, don't worry. But I'm reconnected to this feminine energy, and I'm a better innovator. Because before it was like, I will be the next Marie Curie, I will be this lonely, innovator and scientist and researcher. Okay, I had a great PhD, but it didn't change the world. Now that I'm collaborating and listening more to the real consumer needs, not focused on me, but on them, it's better.
I like that idea of focus on the other, and I think that is quite a feminine trait, to be collaborative, community minded, and putting yourself in others' shoes, perhaps, in that empathetic approach. So aside from your book, which I have a copy, I'm yet to read the whole thing, but I'm very
That's okay.
excited to read it now. But what other resources or forums or any other advice would you give? Where can people seek out the ways they can develop their feminine traits in the workplace?
Okay, so I personally have this website where I have different services, I have workshops I can offer, you have the book. I'm very excited because some friends of mine told me, you know what, I bought your book, but I couldn't read it. I said, why? He said, well, you know what, my teenage girl took it away from me, teenage daughter, and I cannot read it. I said, So I interviewed the teenage girls, and they confirmed that they don't learn that at school. They don't learn about the innovation. They don't learn how the feminine is very powerful in business, in life. So I am now in the process. I just shot 2 weeks ago the first first episodes. I created a course, a video course based on the book and for teenagers. Is called Smart Rebel and Innovate Your Own Life. So this is another way for me to help and have an impact, because the teenagers are the future of the world. Okay, so we have to make sure, again, planting the little seeds. And you have a lot of different resources, a lot of books that talk about women being this huge female market that is totally underserved, because it has been developed by men thinking that they know what women want. So there is a huge opportunity there. I have a lot of literature around that. I have a lot of workshops, a lot of things that deal with that, because again, we feel the need. There is this wave now, coming from all sides, that we really need to think differently.
And can you sum up, and there's a lot of content in this already, but could you sum up, is there a feminine success formula? And I don't mean just for women, but presumably that applies to men as well. But what would you put into that formula?
It applies to everything. I'm a chemist, so I couldn't resist. Okay, I took some liberty with science here, but what I say is that if you practice empathy, nurturing, which is not really only feminine, okay, the inclusivity, intuition, gratitude, you use collaboration as a catalyst, then you will get. So the heart and the money. If you innovate for you, the heart is that you will do something you love. You will develop your life in a way you love. And the revenues are, hey, you will make a living doing something you love. And this is my message to the teenagers. You need to really be passionate about what you're doing. If it's a business, you will make money because you will develop innovation that emotionally resonates with consumers. And 80% of purchase decisions in the US are driven by emotions. And it is a proven scientific fact. Okay, so you will get that. And on top of this, you will make revenue, but in a nice way, not only like thinking bottom line before thinking, serving the others.
I love your equation. I hope I can get a copy of that. I'd like to tweet that.
Well, it's in the book. Once you will have read it.
Great. And what's serendipitous is I am holding a mug. I don't know if you can see that, but it says, "Do what you love what you do."
Absolutely. But it's a very, very important message. And success, as I define it for the teenagers, I say success is not about fame, about money, about having millions of followers. Success is about having the courage to be your own self and to bring your unique contribution to this world. It's critical because, again, you have a unique gift here, everybody at our level. And if we bring it, it brings purpose. And it's well known. We're happy.
And just picking out perhaps leaders or business leaders or politicians that you admire because they have allowed their feminine trait to help make policy or the way they communicate with their audiences. Who would you pick out? I'm putting you on the spot here.
No, but it's a good question, and it's very difficult because if you look around, the people who run the world now, you have a lot of masculine. I don't find a lot of feminine, unfortunately. What we saw during the pandemic, that the countries that were led by women dealt better with the pandemic because they thought of people first before thinking of the economy and so on. And there was a balance, but having empathy and compassion. So women leaders think differently. They think more family, community, environment before going to the bottom line, which is also the case in investing, by the way. And I say in the course, it's funny, I'm not into celebrities. My role models are more around me, people I meet and admire, and I pick their traits I admire and make my own little cooking. But if there is somebody I admire, is Michelle Obama, because Michelle Obama is at this level where she could be unattainable. But I don't know if you read her book. She has this people connection. She's genuine, she's sincere. She doesn't play the game like a lot of people. So I have a soft spot for her. And I think she's bringing a lot of positive messages. But again, my role models, people I admire all around me, including you. So I'm serious. I always get inspiration from the real people who do real things around me and are around me.
That's a really, really interesting conversation, Fabienne. I'd love to spend longer with you, but perhaps another time. May I wish you all the best with your book, and
thank you.
Perhaps Michelle Obama will get to read it one day.
Well, I sent it to her. She didn't answer yet.
Thank you so much for your time, and see you again in due course.
Yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate it, Annabel.